Welcome. Take it up with Jessica Lee. I'm here with Bryan Adams, who is the Director of Enterprise Sales at JFrog. Welcome, Bryan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And congratulations. JFrog went public this morning. You guys are trading at 50% higher than the starting price. So what a wonderful day to celebrate.
Absolutely. It's a good day to be a frog today.
Okay, so Bryan, what are some of the trends that you're seeing? I know that moving to the cloud has been a trend, but accelerated. And I know that software as a service has also accelerated. What are some of the interesting trends that you can share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head as far as obviously cloud being a lot more, a higher adoption with kind of everybody in the remote capacity that we are today. You know, we're seeing a lot of companies that would probably historically be more of an on-prem type culture or type vertical, candidly, that are now figuring out we're going to have to switch to the cloud. And I think COVID has kind of helped force that, whether that's good or bad, it is what it is, right? And so now we're seeing a big adoption of not just more on-prem customers looking to migrate to the cloud, but we're also seeing a hybrid solution where they're going to put X amount of business into the cloud and they'll still keep some on-prem instances, but definitely a huge uptick on just taking and moving everything into the cloud as a whole, especially as not only do we not know what COVID looks like in the future, but I think just the landscape of working in an office 9 to 5, your typical traditional days is probably more so in the past as well.
And so when you think about the cloud and software as a service, there's a lot of rapid software development to update the product and make changes and all that. And with Agile software development, you're looking also to do Agile updating of software. Tell us about the changes that you're seeing on the engineering side of how people roll out updates.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, at JFrog, we call it liquid software or versionless software. And I think when people think of updates historically, you think of it'll happen, it'll roll out once a quarter or half a year or annually, depending on how big the rollout is. And we're providing them to roll out daily, weekly, monthly. You know, I mean, we do literally have customers that are rolling out new updates and new fixes every single day. And the good portion on that is it allows them to, if something does break, it's actually a quick fix because it's not some huge rollout that you're historically doing. It's something that you rolled out today. And if something happens, you can fix it tomorrow. And so doing these additional rollouts and the liquid software portion is allowing zero downtime is a big portion of I think why you're seeing us be successful. And from just the future DevOps and what that space looks like, you're going to see this versionless software, this liquid software, as we call it. And that's going to be a big movement moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, as a user of business technology, I think that even on the consumer side, you know, and anytime you've got products that are being updated, it's fine if it's not changing the experience as a user of that interface or how the flows go from one click to the next. When there's a change to that user interaction, then I find that a challenge if a company just suddenly make changes without my anticipating that.
Absolutely. I think you have two sides of this, right? We're on Zoom right now. We have no idea what version of Zoom that we're using and we don't care. It works. And if it updates every day, great. As long as it works for us and we can use it, there's nothing changing. It's perfect. Now, to your other point, when we're using something that is more of a robust system or kind of helps us run our days and you completely change the UI or the way that you're going to interact with that, that's where you're going to have to do some teetering with your user base and allow them some time to understand that there will be some changes, probably roll out some support and documentation around that thing, which it wouldn't be you just wake up tomorrow with that new version, right? You're going to get notified. At the end of the day, it's going to be a lot quicker update when using the platform like JFrog. But I completely agree that there's certain things where you can go to sleep at night and wake up and things are updated and it doesn't matter. There's other things you're going to want to be notified to be able to prepare both yourself and probably your organization as well.
Now, some of the updates I remember, say a data center, if you want to update an IT room or a data center, there's a lot of anxiety around that because you can't afford to have anything down, right?
Right.
So are you saying that if they switch to using your repository, that it wouldn't have to have downtime?
So it just depends. For the most part, the answer is yes. When you're using us, the updates are instant, the updates are quick, and the customers themselves and our clients aren't going to experience that downtime. Now, those are the updates component. If you're doing some type of migration where, for example, you are going to be switching the UI and how the new system works, which is actually something that we rolled out earlier this year, which does have a new UI. We've rolled out a freemium model that allows an entire platform to use as opposed to having some a la carte features and functionality. So when you're rolling out the new UI and kind of just the new JFrog, if you will, there will be a little bit of downtime. But again, to what I mentioned earlier, historically, you would probably have downtime for hours, right? Because it's this big lift to get that. And to your point, these DevOps and engineers are freaking out because what's going to go wrong, and Murphy's Law, what can go wrong will go wrong in these types of circumstances. But for us, that downtime is drastically reduced because, again, it's not that huge lift. You're allowed to make the incremental changes, and then when you do have that big lift, it's a lot quicker, it's a lot smoother with a lot less hiccups throughout the process.
Now let's talk about enterprise sales, because you manage a team.
Yeah.
And with the new funding, you are definitely hiring. So let's talk about enterprise sales. Tell us how things are going on the sales front.
Yeah, I mean, we're growing great. I think the team that we have in place is the right team, which is extremely important, especially when you're at a shift and at a point as a company of kind of what we're trying to move forward with. You hit the nail on the head. We'll absolutely be hiring, especially with the new funding in place now that we're public. And I think it's less about how do we sell and move forward from a revenue standpoint, and more so how are we going to better support our customers. I think everybody understands that the better way you support your customers, typically the more that they're going to use. And I think if you're doing right by your customers, revenue takes care of itself at that point. And so the way that I look at where we're at is, you go from being a super young, scrappy startup to you start to evolve and you start to be able to put some processes in place. And now we're at a point where we need to look at what's best for our customers. And unlike being the scrappy startup, you need to have more people focused on less, because you need to pay attention to those customers. Our CEO always says that JFrog is bought, it's never sold. And so I think from that sales portion as well, it's very unique. It's a very unique model where everybody thinks of sales as you're out there, you're knocking on doors, you're cold calling people to push your product. And we've been in a very, very fortunate position that that's not what we've done historically, and it's not what we have to do in the past, or in the future, excuse me. We've created a platform that people need and people want to use. And we've done a good job of branding ourselves and creating something extremely reliable where people are in turn knocking on our door rather than us having to cold call or knock on their door. And so now again, why I am so focused on what's the best way for us to support them and support our almost 7,000 customers, it's going to be not having so many customers per one person, for example, but actually being able to support them in their needs and their wants and their growth.
I see. Yes, with more funding, you'll be able to have more dedication, as opposed to when you're stretched with a limited number of sales reps taking care of so many clients, you're going to be spread thin, right?
Absolutely.
So you are in that enviable position where you have the funding to hire more people to give them more attention, more love and care.
Absolutely. We can hopefully remove some of the hats that everybody wears.
Yes. What is the exciting program that you have in place now that we are really looking at this point to 2021, right? And you're now publicly traded, you've got funding. What's exciting ahead for you for next year?
I just think the possibilities of kind of where we're at. I think that sometimes and you can get locked in with where you're at a company and almost get tunnel vision. And now I think we do have a chance to kind of open up and figure out, hey, we've gotten to a point. But I look at now that we're publicly traded and everything, we didn't make it. Now we're actually just getting started. And so at that point, when I look at what does the future hold for us, I think there's just a lot more that we're going to be able to develop. When we started in 2008, we had one feature, and we fortunately were the one company that created that feature, and it grew on its own. But now we offer an entire platform. And I think that platform is going to drive a lot of change and a lot of transition for our customers and our future customers. So I'm actually excited to see what they're able to do with what we're providing them. I think that's actually going to be the true sign of how successful we are as a company, is what are we helping our customers push to their consumers.
Well, I appreciate you being on the show to talk to us, Bryan. The first day you guys are a publicly traded company, very exciting. I see a bright future ahead. So appreciate you being on the show to talk about the repository for software updates everywhere in the world.
Absolutely. It's again, it's an exciting time for us, and the future looks bright, and really appreciate you having me on the show.
There you have it. Take it up with Jessica Lee, Bryan Adams from JFrog.